Hello, I'm Llewellyn King, the host of White House Chronicle, which is coming right up. But first, a few thoughts of my own. It's party season. Everybody in Washington tends to give a party in December. Often you go from one party to another, having seen the same people the night before at somebody else's party, often the same caterer. These are de rigueur appearances. These are not, in fact, parties in the Hollywood sense or the New York sense. These are Washington parties, where I see you, you see me. It's part of a ritual. It's a little better than the other ghastly Washington ritual, which is funerals. When people go to funerals, when they hardly know the person who's died, but they like to give the impression and say things like, they broke the mold with that one. We'll not see his like again. It's totally phony and it's quite awful. I'm going to, I think, publish some remarks that you can make that infer that you knew the dear departed extraordinarily well when you didn't at all. Well, the parties are like that, but of course they're not quite as hypocritical. We go around parties. There's the occasional really good bash, but usually it's private. Usually it is not given by a corporation. It is not in an office or in a great cavernous room. It is in somebody's home. The other thing that has gravely affected partying in Washington is drunk driving laws. They're quite strict, as they should be, but we don't have enormous public transportation like New York. We live far away from each other, and this means that we're all on 1.5 glasses of white wine or something, which, really isn't what parties were about in my youth. They were 1.5 bottles of something. It was a different world we lived in. And if you went up to the Congress, there were congressmen who expected you to drink with them, and they would then talk to you. If you didn't drink with them, they didn't want to see you. There's one very famous committee chairman who had a trolley of drinks brought in at 11 o'clock in the morning. And if you were a reporter and you had an interview, you said, "Bourbon, please," even though you might not like bourbon, but this was an ingratiating second when he thought, another bourbon lover, and would tell you what was going on. Then there were those of enormous rectitude who didn't touch a drink all day. But at 6 o'clock they reached in the drawer and out came a bottle of scotch. And in came the journalists and a lot of information, a lot of good stuff. And more important, in came the people they disagreed with. After a while, they tended to be an exchange, which lacks in Congress terribly these days. So it's party season, but don't think we in Washington are having a fabulous time trudging from one catered event to another. We're not. Sad, isn't it? White House parties are good, but that's more because you can use them at the funeral to say, I think I saw him last at the White House. That's Washington. Sorry about that. I've got 4 wonderful people I want you to meet, and we're going to discuss the future of the aforementioned Congress when we come back.